So that SSQS, or Smart School Qualification Standards, has helped schools to know where they are and why they should move forward and how to move forward. So that has really helped us to achieve or to move towards Wave 4, which we are in right now, which is actually consolidation and stabilization. So you can see there the targets, 500 schools at the end of this year, and 2,000 schools and 7,500 we hope to be able to be at least average, meaning they are at least using it. So very practical to us, at least 500 is not a huge number, but from where we are, we think that's the most practical target. So all these we have has helped us through the SSQS. And let's look at the model. And the model, ladies and gentlemen, has not changed since 1997. We believe that these are the key components for ICT in education. So technology is actually just a small component, and you see in the center that it's about teaching and learning. So processes, for nationwide implementation, we have to be clear about the processes, and each school has its own unique processes, so there is no one size fits all. That's why the modeling is very important, and people's skills and responsibilities, how these change with regards to ICT in education, and of course policy. We have a lot of issues here because when the smart school started, it was for the 88 smart schools. So people saw that the blueprint was for the 88 schools. So it never actually expands to the other 10,000 schools. They still regard that blueprint as for the 88 schools. So as you can see here, these are the nationwide strategies. This is Borneo, the two states of Malaysia in Borneo, and this is Malaysia here, and this is Singapore, this is Thailand, and so this is the benchmark smart schools will be the 88 plus another 50 rural schools that we have transformed, so that the 2,500 rural schools in Malaysia can actually refer to, because the 88 pilot smart schools were actually elite schools, high-performing schools. So the government decided that we needed 50 good numbers of rural schools that the rest of the schools in Malaysia can relate to. So we've got this as benchmark smart schools, and they actually mentor a cluster of schools around them, and this cluster of schools will actually mentor other schools around them. So Malaysia is a very top-down system, but we realized that initially over the first 5 years of implementation, it was difficult to move because it's not driven by the people who are actually end users, who are actually recipients and beneficiaries of this program. So we realized that we've got to give this back to them to drive the project at the school level. So we saw that each state, each MOE state network is responsible to drive this at the state level. Selangor is one of the 15 states in Malaysia, and it has the best practice in this model of nationwide deployment. So as a result of that, in 2009, we can see that at least 96 schools has achieved a 5-star. So the bulk of it is in 3-star, meaning there's quantitative improvement, but very little qualitative improvement. So my job now is to ensure incremental increase in that qualitative improvement. That's my focus right now, to at least 500 schools by the end of the year. So this is our target for end of the year. So that's the process, and I mentioned just now how actually we're throwing this responsibility back to the people. So we have schools leading this. School heads must be championed, and with that, the schools can actually implement their respective school-based strategies, and the communities, parents, are involved. I actually have to meet with Parent-Teacher Association at the national level to address this to them and what their roles and responsibilities are. And of course, the MOE state networks, they have to drive this. Yeah? So we have already earmarked schools that will be at 5, 4, and 3 because from the standards we know what their potentials are. And these are the programs that all these change agents will deliver. And we have the best practices for each. And they will conduct benchmarking visits. Smart Brigade is a program for students. They actually champion this. So these programs, our programs involve all stakeholders, head teachers for champion, peer coaching, the communities, the MOE, state networks, they have to coach and buddy the benchmark smart schools, 138 of them will be buddies to the other schools. Knowledge sharing, Smart Brigade, the students program, benchmarking visit, best practices in pedagogy and community engagement. Parents, Parent-Teacher Association, we just learned this recently that they play an important role in creating that pressure for schools to actually take up on ICT in education in a more meaningful way. And then we can see that there have been outcomes, although it has taken us many, many years, but slowly but surely there have been outcomes. These are the initial outcomes, and as my title entails, transforming Malaysian schools for the 21st century. So the evolution now from that very broad objectives earlier that I showed you, we are now moving to very, very specific outcomes. And these are some of the outcomes of the 21st century skills that we are targeting from the implementation of ICT in education. So in fact, as I was glad to hear yesterday about that outcome-based model. That is true indeed, that we need to have that outcome-based model. We need to be very specific, be it as small focused as improving the learning of English among students using ICT. So be it, but at least we are focused. But for us, for the moment, we are focused on these areas, and these are captured in the Smart School Qualification Standards. So here again, the current one, and these are at the federal level or national level. So these are the broad things that we are focusing on at the national level. And you saw earlier the programs at the school level and state level. At the federal level, this is what we are focusing on together with MOE. And that's translated at the state and school level.